The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Christmas TV Specials, where we will discuss, we're not going to discuss the hidden layers and deeper meanings of Christmas TV specials, but we're going to talk about our favorites Christmas TV specials and what makes a Christmas TV special. So joining me today on the panel for these important questions are Joanne Mercier. Hi, Joanne.
Merry Christmas, Dom.
Merry Christmas. And Mike Dens. Hi, Mike.
Feliz Navidad.
I will lease that Navidad. And Thomas Salerno. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Dom. Have a holly jolly Christmas.
I will have a holly jolly Christmas. Thomas, welcome to the StarQuest Network. This is your first podcast with us, and I just wanted to welcome you to the show and to the network. Folks, you're going to hear Thomas on a lot of episodes going forward, I hope. So this is a nice way to begin. Just to mention, as we start off, I have my mug of Christmas cheer. I have some eggnog. There may or may not be something else in it besides eggs and nog. And so this is going to be, we're going to have some fun here. This is a fun episode. A few years ago, we did an episode. It was a different group of us, but we did an episode on Christmas movies. And, the usual suspects, Holiday Inn, It's a Wonderful Life. I keep saying those two, but there's like all the usual ones you think of. This time we're going to talk about Christmas TV specials. Now, how do we define a Christmas TV special? Like, anyone have a particular definition that they'd like to throw out, or any particular characteristic that they think applies to a Christmas TV special that makes it different?
I would say that it only comes out at Christmas. Like,
okay.
It's a Christmas specific
right.
airing on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you may or may never see it again.
Right. It could be a one-off.
Only to be found on YouTube now.
There are some. It should probably have, a specifically Christmas theme, really, as opposed to generic winter theme, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. And it includes a famous celebrity and other famous celebrities coming together for unknown reasons.
Right. That's some of them. Yes, that could be some of them.
So a holiday special to be unnamed.
I know.
Are we including that? No.
I guess we have to, because that's all we get these days is holiday specials instead of Christmas specials.
True.
With the unnamed gathering on December 25th for some reason.
Which might be on Kashyyyk with
we'll
famous people.
We'll save that for later, because we're jumping the gun on that one, because I want to say that one has its own special place. But so I was thinking about this earlier, and I think there's basically three kinds of TV specials. There's, like, you divide it into three groups. There's the animated ones, the animated stories. You have live action dramas stories. And then you have the variety show / musical performance kind of Christmas TV special. And then within the first two, you get those that are connected to an existing intellectual property. Say, like those that are, like Disney or, Hanna-Barbera. And then you have those that are independent one-offs. Like, we'll get into it. We'll be talking about that as we go. Yeah. And then we could probably include Christmas episodes of existing TV series. Do you think that qualifies? I kind of went back and forth.
Yes, Tom? And no.
I
some of them can be so iconic, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, Thomas,
true.
What do you think?
Well, those kind of episodes, especially of cartoon shows, were a huge part of my childhood growing up. There are a couple that loom really large in my memories of Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, and see, the animated specials are the ones that keep reoccurring every year, so they're in the public consciousness.
Right.
And some of the live action ones, it's the variety shows that have all been lost because they really are one-offs, or maybe two-offs, and that's it.
Yeah, those I mean, are those available in places like the old Perry Comos and the stuff like that?
Oh, somebody's got to be selling them on late night TV.
Right. I mean,
I'm sure we could find them, especially the Bob Hope ones and some of the better ones.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the song with Bing Crosby and
David Bowie.
That came off a video that is played ad nauseum on the Your Christmas Station starting November 1st. Those ones.
Sure.
And that was from a whole special that I'm sure you can dig around and find more of. And also, just real quick, we're including claymation with animated.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We have
obviously.
to. Otherwise, I have nothing to talk about tonight. So, I mean, that could get us into things as we go here, then, because I have to say, for me, and I like I think I'm going to enjoy this because I don't know what everybody's talking about. I know what some of you are talking about, but my sense is there's going to be some differences. Like some of you guys have different Christmas TV specials that are dear to you than the ones that were dear to me. Most of mine revolve around what I liked and enjoyed growing up and what I want to share with my kids. And so, and I gotta say, let me start off, because I'm with the host privilege. Let me start off by naming what I think is the greatest Christmas TV special of them all, which was A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yes. Because partly because they read the gospel word for word in it, unlike, as we were saying, a lot of, especially modern stuff. It's fantastic. And Charles Schultz, from my understanding, insisted on
I read that
on it. And it has the spirit of Christmas in it. It has the typical loss of hope for a good Christmas with the twist turn at the end, which is the classic Christmas story, to everybody being happy and joyful and celebrating the day together. What do y'all think? I mean, how does this work? Charlie Brown Christmas work for you all?
It's right up there for its reasons. I think when I go back to being a little kid, I didn't appreciate the God being included aspect as much as I appreciated how cool Rudolph looked and things like that. So
right.
But when I look at it now, obviously as an adult, there's so many things as he goes through what were originally just panels, just his cartoon is 3-paneled. Here's the panel where Sally asks Charlie Brown to write the list, and he puts it in an animated, and here's when they're trying to knock the cans off the fence, and here's the one where he goes to her in her psychiatric booth. They're just, and they put it all together into these things. And then you have the kids speaking, and they have this really cool kind of stop motion way of speaking because they had to splice together their lines because they had never really said them correctly. And that's why it gives them that kind of way of speaking that sounds funny.
Right.
So I love that. And lastly, for me, of course, like you said, the gospel. I suppose now isn't the time to debate the translation of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. But when he says fear not and drops his blanket is a great thing to go back and watch, and it gives you chills just to see that something he would never let go of. This is, even during the play, he ties it around his head and he's he's a shepherd.
Yeah.
But when he says fear not, he lets go of his blanket and he's totally focused on God, and that's a great thing. And I do also remember Charles Schultz. I was surprised. I guess maybe the 60s was the beginning of it all, but he had to fight the network to have it be a religious centered Christmas special. Oh my gosh, what a crazy idea.
Yes, because people were so enlightened back then.
Right. Well, that was the beginning. Like, the people were afraid that I think they thought that TV was so new and modern and cosmopolitan, and religion, outward displays of religion were too gauche and down market.
They were 10 years removed from Bishop Sheen. It was kind of funny how things changed so fast.
Yeah. But it's interesting now because a lot of those animated Christmas specials especially are now being seen by different eyes.
Yeah.
They haven't hit Charlie Brown yet, but they're starting to hit some of the others.
Right.
As to, I'm not sure we can show these anymore.
Well, the funny thing about the Charlie Brown Christmas special is the rights to stream that is owned by Apple. It's Apple TV Plus. It was kind of controversial last year because it was only on Apple TV Plus at first, and then after there was a little bit of an uproar, they did offer to PBS that they could air it on a particular day at a particular time, like on the shows. I think this year's December 19th. So for people who don't have Apple TV Plus or can't stream, they can still watch it.
Yeah, but it may be, this is a good, I hate to say it, everybody knows I'm the Apple fangirl here, but maybe it's a good thing that Apple has acquired those rights, because it'll hopefully preserve the Peanuts, portfolio and this particular Christmas special.
That's true.
Because I have a feeling the other ones might take a hit with the culture that we have now.
Right. I mean, it's not like you can pull that part of the play out, of the special out and have it still be, coherent.
Right.
We've rewritten the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
No, they can't improve on perfection. There's
correct.
There's so many great moments in that, and I'm a huge Peanuts fan. I think that Christmas special began my kind of love affair with Peanuts, and I identify so much with Charlie Brown as a character. Like I feel like he reflects me in a lot of ways. Like that moment when he's trying to put the ornaments on that scraggly little tree he has.
Charlie Brown tree.
Yeah. And the tree just falls over. And he looks at it and says, "Everything I touch gets ruined." And I'm like, that is something that has gone through my brain when I have tried to do something and it doesn't work out the way I want it to. And I'm like, man, I feel you, Charlie Brown. I feel you. There's just so many great moments in that special. I love it.
I identify with it a lot because I was 6 years old when I saw the original when it came out, and it's fun to watch it now back so many years ahead. It is a timeless piece of classic cartoon.
Yep. But
it has the message. And in those days, cartoons had two messages, one for adults and one for children.
Right.
I mean, this one blends it so well.
The best ones do. The best ones still do. Yeah.
But let's not forget the introduction to, I think it's called Linus and Lucy, the song.
Mm-hmm.
The dun, 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 that was in it. And the dancing. This doesn't work well on a podcast, but the different dances that we're all trying to do on our screens, which no one on the podcast can see. But there's actually YouTube videos of that song with people doing versions of those
of the dances
dances that they're all doing.
I've seen that. Yeah,
it's those are iconic Peanuts dancing dance moves.
We could have done just a whole episode on Peanuts.
We should probably move to another episode.
So we should probably, before we spend all night doing this. Joanne, tell us about one of your favorite Christmas TV specials.
Well, I'm a musician also, and so I always gravitated as a child to all of the variety shows. I mean, I think I used to sit night after night watching variety shows.
Sure.
So I loved when the Christmas specials came because they would have the best, the most important stars, even if they couldn't sing. But it was always getting together to celebrate. And they would sing the Christmas carols. So between Bob Hope and Dean Martin and Bing Crosby and Andy Williams and Perry Como, half the people right now are saying, who? Go to YouTube and take a look at these. I mean, and somebody like Andy Williams launched careers like the Osmonds.
Right.
And Bob Hope, his were mostly centered on, at that time in the 60s and 70s, the servicemen.
Right. He would go to bases around the world and perform, USO shows for the, and
that's what he would film.
Yeah. Right. I remember seeing those as a kid. Yeah. But they would bring, dancers and models and actors and actresses and singers and just have a whole thing. Yeah.
And Bing Crosby was always with his family.
Yep.
The kids were always there and they'd all sing. Even the wife would sing kind of okay.
Now they would do this. They would spend their Christmas, or were did they record it early? I always wondered, because it was something about these guys had to spend their Christmas, obviously, we always remember our servicemen and women who aren't home for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And these celebrities who would come out and say, well, I'm going to spend Christmas with you too. And and that's kind of the thing I used to take away, though I'm not sure if I'm ignorant on that. And they recorded it like earlier or what.
They may have recorded it maybe earlier in the month.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But this was still something. I mean, you're going out in December and you're going.
Yeah, sure.
And spending prime time with the troops.
Well, and a lot of these guys would still go on Christmas, still go out and go to, like, that's how they would spend their Christmas. Like Bob Hope would still spend his Christmas, even though he'd recorded the special.
He did.
Would still spend his Christmas
exactly
at the bases around the world. Cool. Yeah.
So I
that's
enjoyed that type of Christmas special. And then those are the 60s ones. When you get into the 70s, now you've got the John Denver.
Oh, yes.
With the Muppets.
Oh, that is a great one. Yeah.
Yes. And of course, the one that you never see anymore, but is the basis of a long favorite album, the Carpenters, Christmas Portrait. They had recorded the album first. Mm-hmm. And then somebody got the idea, why don't you turn it into a Christmas special? And it follows the exact line of the album.
Oh,
so it goes from scene to scene to scene. It was nice. I got a chance to look at it on YouTube as I was going through all this. And I'm like, yeah, we got to watch this, Kev, my husband. We've got to watch this for Christmas. I'm so glad it's up on YouTube. Poorly, but it's up there.
Well, that's the thing, is YouTube is a treasure for this sort of stuff that is just not preserved otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's out there. Thomas, what about you? What do you have for your favorite Christmas TV specials?
Well, I mean, of course, I grew up with like the classic ones that we can all name, like How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
But some of the things that I want to spotlight are actually Christmas episodes of television shows that I grew up with.
Uh-huh.
I grew up on a lot of the DC superhero shows that were made by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, like Batman the Animated Series and all of its spin-offs, Superman, the Justice League. And they had some terrific Christmas episodes. Batman the Animated Series actually had two. It's one of the first episodes. I don't know if it's one of the first that is aired, but I think it's like the second on the production list, is Christmas with the Joker, which is a terrific episode. It's about where the Joker, he escapes Arkham Asylum and takes a bunch of notable citizens hostage and does his own Christmas special. He hijacks the television signal and he starts doing his own murderous Christmas special. And Batman has to stop him. The B plot is Robin trying to convince Batman to watch It's a Wonderful Life. and Batman doesn't understand. Well, that sounds terrible. Like he thinks that it's some kind of happy, sappy Christmas movie. And of course, Robin gets him to watch it at the end. And he's like, no, that was good. But so there's that.
Awesome.
An episode, a later one was Holiday Nights, which was a season 4 episode, I think. And that was kind of an anthology of little Christmas stories. Like there's one where Batgirl is shopping for her dad, Commissioner Gordon, and Clayface attacks, and there's some stuff that happens. But the other one I just want to mention is a Justice League season 2 episode, Comfort and Joy, which is another anthology kind of episode. There's a bunch of different plots going on at the same time. There's one where the Flash, he arrests a supervillain called the Ultra Humanite, and they end up going on this crazy mission to find a toy for some orphaned children. It's pretty funny.
Uh-huh.
And then, but what's interesting about that episode, it ends on kind of this hopeful note, because the Martian Manhunter, who's a superhero who really doesn't have any family, Superman kind of brings him to spend Christmas with the Kents. And it's this really nice, apparently the Kents wrap Clark's presents in lead foil so that he can't see through them with his X-ray vision. But that episode, I learned just tonight because I looked it up, is the final episode before the 3-part gut-wrenching finale of that show.
Huh.
Where it was a 3-part finale called Star-Crossed, where the whole team is torn apart and all this stuff happens. And it's funny because you have just this nice episode with all the characters coming together for Christmas, and then the finale happens where the team ends up being betrayed by one of their own, and it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But my brother and I always go back and watch those episodes this time of year because it's the stuff we grew up on, and we like to see, our favorite superheroes celebrating Christmas. I think it's cool and it's wholesome and awesome, and I love it.
Well, that's the thing is for me, I think so far for all of us, and Mike, I haven't gone to you yet, but just before I do, so much of this is about the nostalgia, what we saw, watched as kids that still sticks with us. There's still stuff that's being made today, and maybe that will stick with kids today, but for me, it's all about the stuff that I saw as a kid that made, part of it was what made Christmas special. Obviously, Christmas was special for a lot of reasons, but you only got to see these things once a year. And maybe we could talk about this for a little bit, is the difference between being able to stream it whenever we want now, and when I was a kid, not being able to watch it except if you caught it when it aired at the time it was going to air, and if you missed it, you missed Rudolph's Rudolph's Red-Nosed Reindeer for the one time it's going to air that year. What do you think? I mean, have we lost something by being able to stream this stuff whenever we want?
I was thinking that as we were coming to me, I had allowed this time as I was going around to think about different things, and one of them is that I grew up similar. Dom and I were born in similar times, so we both grew up and became adults right around the time or shortly after VCRs came in. So once you had VCRs, you could record things, and obviously, but my parents waited forever to even get one. So on my birthday, I would rent a VCR and The Empire Strikes Back, and that's what I would do. I would watch Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, there you go.
On my birthday with a rented VCR. That's how impoverished I was. But anyway, I just remember. I remember literally thinking, as a 8, 9, 10-year-old, and I'm watching How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and they do the opening scene and everything. I'm thinking, well, that's the last time I'll see that opening scene for a year. That's the kind of stuff that would go through my head. And I remember one time I had homework to do, and Rudolph was on, and my dad was like, "No, you got to go do your homework." And I'm just like, "What is wrong with you? Oh my, are you serious? This is on now, and that's it, and I don't get to see it for 12 months." You can't be serious that and I mean, my father, what he said to do something, you do it.
Right.
But this was this one time where I stood my ground, and I'm like, you don't understand. I think my mom came to my rescue, but I was just like, he didn't get it at all. And I was like, oh my gosh. So and then my nieces and nephews, either they got them on, VHS tapes they bought or whatever. And I remember one of them, they would watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer all year long, over and over. And I was like, this is just wrong.
It is.
This
feels
is
wrong.
This is really wrong.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be done. This is you just, you watch it once and that's it. That's just, you can't be doing that. Even if it was December and they watched it 3 or 4 times, you'd be like, no, you watch it.
You watch it once.
Maybe twice.
That was me with Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. I would watch that any time of the year.
Yeah. Well, that's just, those are the old-fashioned values I grew up with.
Well,
you just don't do that.
Yeah.
You're not going to like me. I have it on my Plex. So my Plex server has all of those Christmas things on it.
Well, but yeah, I mean, it's this is the sort of thing that made America great. No, just kidding. But,
no, but that's why when I talk about the Christmas specials, the variety show specials, you can't see those.
Right.
At all. They don't show them anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to go hunting for them to find them.
Yeah. I'm surprised there isn't a channel with them somewhere, just some website, some obscure website.
The money it might cost to try to get the rights. I mean, it's funny. Yeah. You go and find the DVDs to these things. It's still 1 hour special or 1/2 hour Frosty the Snowman special, $10. It's they're still that hot commodity. And you go on the Netflix or try to find them free anywhere. Nope. They cost money. They're that because we're all still alive that grew up with them, and we'll pay. Well,
the problem with the variety shows and the musical performances is the music rights. They still got to pay all the music rights, the residuals to the performers and all that sort of stuff. And that's probably why it's not available.
Yeah, and there's some music written for these shows that was specially written for the occasion. So,
all right, Mike, I want to go to you and get some of your Christmas TV special memories.
Well, I'm like you, Dom. This is the nostalgia of growing up. The kid who had all those beliefs and everything about Christmas that young children do. And the top two that I have on my list are Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Now, yes. Rudolph is much more popular.
Yeah.
As far as, I mean, you see it all over. It's still, you can go into CVS or any place and see plush Rudolph stuff and little things. But Santa Claus is Coming to Town was also, and I just got to say, Rankin and Bass, if they didn't exist, my Christmases would be in some sort of alternate universe. I don't know what.
Yes.
Well,
the things that they put together.
I wanted to put
amazing.
I wanted to kind of put the Rankin and Bass in a corner here and just the whole oeuvre of Rankin and Bass for Christmas specials.
Yeah, I mean, whether, and they did some like Easter ones too and different things, but obviously now we're just talking about Christmas, and these two by Rankin and Bass were just so awesome. I could talk about Rudolph, a lot, and she said I'm cute and all the different things that were great about it. The abominable snow monster and Bumbles Bounce.
Yukon Cornelius is the best.
Yukon Cornelius. I mean, he could have had his own talk show. This dog is as thick
as peanut butter.
Yeah.
Don't you mean pea soup? You eat what you like, I'll eat what I like. I quote that to my kids all the different lines.
Oh yeah, they're great lines.
Let's be independent together.
Hermie wants to be a dentist.
Hermie wants to be a dentist.
Herbie wants to make dentist. You don't want to make toys. Shame on you.
like he's like the Rudolph elf.
Right.
Let's talk about Rudolph for a second, because there's a controversy. Because
yes, there is.
Everybody in Rudolph is a jerk, from Santa all the way down to the reindeer to all the elves. I mean, it's kind of traumatic a little bit.
Santa is a jerk to the elves. There's that scene where they're doing a performance of a song, and
was cut out for a while, but you have to look at like the DVD or something. But I know what you're talking about.
He's like, it needs work, and he just stomps off, and I'm like, what? Okay.
He's like
what
a jerk
kid is going to understand that Santa is stressed during this time of year? It's not really.
Eat, Papa, eat. So nobody likes a skinny Santa.
And then there's the, we're not going to let Rudolph play in any of our reindeer games.
Yeah, they were kind of set up by the song itself.
Of course,
that's the problem.
Because he has a deformity, we're all going to shun him.
But the problem in our society now comes that people are looking at this saying, this is a bullying thing.
Yeah, right. And then
Rudolph's
people are
getting bullied. So why do we want to watch this? And you're sitting there going, folks, this is a cautionary tale. Would you really like, this is a teaching moment, folks.
Right.
If you don't show these things, you don't teach the kids. You think the kids are you're gonna look at your kid and say, don't be a bully, and they're just gonna do that? No, they have to see the consequences as well as the good side of it.
And also, I mean, this is the more old-fashioned and seldom used. The bullied overcomes.
Mm-hmm.
He learns to deal, overcomes, and then changes the bullies.
Yes.
Right.
Not the bullies
are shunned
get shanked and put in a corner and because you're never going to get rid of bullies is kind of one of the things. But you can try to change them, and you are responsible for yourself. That's a whole thing that's in there, but obviously that kind of just went over my head, and I just thought it was so cool when I was watching as a kid. And
plus,
I didn't really, I mean, of
Mike,
course,
it went over all of our heads.
Hey, plus Bumbles Bounce. That's what
Bumbles Bounce.
Exactly. I'm paying for the abominable snow monster.
The abominable snow monster was
awesome. I was so scared of that thing when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh, it was terrifying.
I would hide when he would come over the mountains. Like, how big is that thing? It's going the mountains.
No, really, those were just small little hills.
Oh, okay.
Later on, we find out he's not that big.
I grew up on kaiju movies, so to me that was nothing.
Well, there you go.
Like,
the Bumble Fights Godzilla was a movie that came out later.
It should have been.
I mean, I'm thinking he lost his teeth. He could still do some damage. I can't believe
he's got those claws still.
I know he's got a lot of things going for him without the teeth. He could probably gum me to death pretty easily.
Every time the topper goes on our tree, by the way, when we decorate it, look at what he can do. Every time.
Oh, yeah. And the other one, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, where you have
the list of talent on that one.
Oh yeah,
Right,
Fred
yeah.
Astaire and
Mickey
Mickey Rooney as
Rooney.
Santa.
Yeah.
And the Meister Burger. How do
Oh
you
my
not like
gosh.
that?
I
mean,
love
it.
Put
so
one
great.
foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And everyone
the
can
great
sing
line.
these songs.
Yes.
He gives the corn to the deer, and he's
The
like,
magic
I'm
corn."
not such a loser after all.
Oh, like
It's the great
yeah.
line of the Winter Warlock.
yeah, Winter
Call me
Warlock
Winter.
was like a hippie drug dealer or something. Like,
Okay.
well, everyone remembers that '60s like the
Oh my gosh, that
musical
acid
sequence
trip.
in the middle.
Come on.
That was kind of
I
what
fa-
that was very
I
'60s.
fast forward through that.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't take it.
It's very weird. It's very weird.
It was an acid
Yeah, it's like
trip.
Rankin and
Yeah.
Bass were having a little bit too much fun that day. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, that was like a biographical. This is how Santa came about. And
Yeah.
what he's about. I whatever they said there, that was gospel truth. You know,
right.
how it all worked out. That's how it worked for me. The other two things I have to mention, and they're more than honorable mentions, especially this first one, is of all the different versions of A Christmas Carol, George C. Scott's A Christmas Carol is my absolute hands down
Yeah.
favorite.
Mike, you and I are like this tonight because this is my list too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I watch it on Christmas Eve, and I've been doing that for probably 30 years. I every year on Christmas Eve, I watch that. I love it. My wife, all year long, she will quote to me, I'm sure I don't know, which is a simple line when they don't know
Right.
that Uncle Scrooge is at the door, and they're like, who is that? And he goes, I'm sure I don't know. And the same guy that was on Cheers later on, who played his nephew Fred, and that actor from England, and just stupid little things like that
Right.
will quote from that show. But I love it, and I know he's not the classic skinny. That's the big thing. He's not the classic skinny Scrooge.
Yeah.
But guys like Dom and I like that. You know, that's good.
Well,
We like
yeah.
the big guys getting the big roles,
play.
and he's just so mean. He's just so. George C. Scott just played it so well.
now
So
that was specifically a made-for-TV movie aired on
Yep.
ABC. And so none of the other Christmas Carol ones that I like would qualify. But like I love the Albert Finney musical version. I love the Muppet Christmas Carol. But those are films. Those don't qualify for what we're talking about tonight. But that George C. Scott one is just so. There's that poignant scene where he has to leave his love behind, or not has to. He just decides to go for business instead of love, and it's so poignant to see that regret. George C. Scott plays that part to a T. It's so good.
And
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my favorite chilling line is when he says, "Well, let them go to the orphanages and the prisons and the poorhouses," and he goes, "Oh, you quote my own lines against me, huh?" And he goes, "Yes. And maybe you'll see within the eyes of heaven that you are more worthless than millions like this boy's child." And the music starts going, and George C. Scott just is like 2 inches tall at that point. He goes, It's the best. And the Equalizer, I forget his name, the original Equalizer, plays the Ghost of Christmas Present. He does such a good job. He's passed away, but
English.
So is George C. Scott.
Yeah, he's English.
English actor,
Oh,
right?
right on the tip of my tongue too. Yeah, I know who you're talking
he's
about.
great. He's great. I love him.
I was going to jump in with now the antithesis of all this,
Yep.
which is a special on A Christmas Carol that was made for HBO originally.
Uh-huh.
And that is the Rich Little Christmas Carol.
Oh my gosh.
Where,
Yeah.
okay, so let me set this up.
To explain who Rich Little is.
Rich Little was a very famous impressionist in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
Okay. And he played every single character in the Christmas Carol as a famous person. So Scrooge was W.C. Fields.
Yeah.
Okay. Johnny Carson was his nephew Fred.
Yep.
Marley was, I forget who Marley was. But every single one he played as a different character.
And is this available on YouTube?
It's on HBO.
Oh, I gotta watch it.
Well, no, it's not. I don't know if it's on HBO, but it's on
find
YouTube.
It. That sounds great.
Look it up on YouTube. It's not a bad recording, but I remember that so distinctly because it was so, and it's played for laughs a little bit, but he was very good as an actor and a very good impressionist. So I think they decided HBO was a very small company at the time.
Yeah, early
it
on.
wasn't. Yeah, this was the beginning of HBO, and they scored a coup with that.
Right.
It was very. I think they showed it for maybe like 10 years, and I think it dropped off.
He did. Bob Cratchit was Paul Lynde.
That's who it was.
Johnny Carson was Fred. Laurel and Hardy were the solicitors. Richard Nixon was Jacob Marley.
There you go.
Humphrey Bogart as the Ghost of Christmas Past. Groucho Marx as Fezziwig. Jimmy Stewart as Dick Wilkins. Peter Falk as the Ghost of Christmas Present / Columbo.
Peter Falk.
Yep.
Gene Stapleton as Edith Bunker / Mrs. Cratchit. Truman Capote as Tiny Tim.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau, the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
So, like I said, this is the antithesis of George C. Scott.
Yeah.
Wow.
James Mason, George Burns, and John Wayne as the three businessmen, and Jack Benny as a boy. That is awesome. I love that. I got to see that sometime.
Oh, yeah. But it showcases what a talent he was.
Oh, yeah. He really was. There's nobody like, they don't really, there are impressionists, but it's not nothing really like that out there anymore.
No.
Let's go back to talking a little bit about Rankin Bass, because they did both stop motion and regular animation, and they had so many. In addition to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, there's one of my favorites is The Year Without a Santa Claus with the Heat Miser and Snow Miser. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you have to actually say that. The Heat Miser, Snow Miser one, because if you just say The Year Without a Santa Claus, people don't always know what you're talking about.
But everybody knows the Heat Miser, Snow Miser. I'm Mr. Heat Miser. Oh, I love that. Frosty the Snowman. You had, and then ones that you didn't see very often, and I remember them. I used to really enjoy when they would air it. Rudolph's Shiny New Year, where he had to go
on for a while.
I don't remember
every year.
that.
I never saw that one.
He had to go find Baby New Year. Baby New Year, so he had to go the archipelago of years, where each island in the archipelago was a different year. So we'd go to 1776, and the old man 1776 looked like Ben Franklin, and so it was he would see all these historical places, in things throughout history, 1492, and so it was very history based. But
and Baby New Year had these really huge ears,
right?
And he would not take his top hat off because people would see his ears and so
laugh.
He had this mirrored Rudolph problem where he would find people that would play with him. He ran into the three bears, and he was playing with the baby bear, and then his hat came off and everyone laughed at him, and he goes away because he doesn't like being laughed at.
Right.
And so that's why he kept hopping from island to island, because he would meet somebody, they'd see his ears, laugh, but they weren't, they weren't doing it mean. It just, he looked funny, and he would get upset and then go to a different island. Yeah. And the whole time there's this condor, what is it? Not a vulture of some sort, right?
Right. They wanted to stop the years.
Yeah, because if he was supposed to die at the end of this year, I guess, and if he would get another, I don't know, he would live forever if he could stop Baby New Year from starting the new year.
Right. That's
and of course it's like a vulture, the symbol of death.
Yes.
He was kind of scary, but he was also kind of goofy too.
Eon the Terrible was his name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another one I want to mention that I really liked, and it's animated. It's not claymation. It's kind of looks like the Hobbit and some of the other style of drawings they did was 'Twas the Night Before Christmas,
right?
Where there was a regular family with a clockmaker, and then a mouse family that had a kind of a similar look to them, and the boy mouse didn't believe in Santa, so he wrote an op-ed because he was a brainiac. He was kind of like the scientist, religious doubter person in this show. Yeah, and he wrote an op-ed about how we don't believe in Santa here in this town, and so Santa said he wasn't coming to that town. Santa apparently hadn't met Rudolph yet, so he wasn't coming to that town because of what they said. So the clockmaker built a clock to welcome Santa, and then the doubting mouse messed up the clock because he wanted to figure out how it worked, and then he fixed it, and Santa came. And I just ruined the show for you, but it's really cute. Yes. And I just love that was like part of my repertoire of specials I look forward to every year for however long I kept watching these on TV, probably till like only a few years ago.
Well, I want to mention a couple of the more obscure ones that I enjoyed. So with the Rankin Bass, there's obviously the Frosty the Snowman animated with, happy birthday. And it had, what's his name? Oh, I should look this up. The voice.
Football player.
No. The narrator was
Jackie Vernon.
No.
George Goebel.
Okay.
No, actually, I had the wrong one. Jimmy Durante. Right.
Jimmy Durante.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Durante.
Right. And the magician, and busy. I am thinking busy.
Magician in the world.
Yes, awesome.
And Hocus Pocus, his rabbit.
Yeah. And then the little girl. I always felt so bad for the little girl who's cold.
And he left her on the roof.
Yes.
Okay, bye, Karen. Good luck.
Yeah.
And that's why she grew up to be Karen.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story. Wah, wah.
So that was, that's a famous one that people know. But
Jackie Vernon was
Jackie Vernon was the snowman.
Frosty.
Right.
And Billy DeWolf was Professor Hinkle.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Durante was a narrator, and Paul Frees was Santa Claus.
And then people like to diss the little drummer boy, but I liked it. And this is one of the few Rankin Bass that was very specifically about Jesus.
Right.
And it's the song. It's another one of those animated things that were about that were made from a song. And the song is about a boy who has nothing to give but playing a drum. And it's funny because, as any mother of a newborn, the last thing you want is a little kid playing a drum in the room, But
it takes a sinless virgin to put up with that.
There you go.
But it was on very rarely. I only ever saw it a couple times, but it made an impression on me to see, an animated version of the actual Christmas story.
And I have a Rankin Bass kind of set that has Rudolph, Santa Claus coming to town,
Yeah,
Frosty,
I had that one too.
And the drummer boy. And I think there's one more in there too.
Oh, wow.
So I have all of those in this one set, so we can watch the drummer boy whenever we want. And I love that version of the drummer boy. I think it's I can't remember right now which one they use, but it's a really good version of the drummer boy that they use when he's actually doing the playing, and they have Mary nod and everything. It's all very and he smiles again. He likes
it's the Ray Conniff singers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he hates people. That's the drummer boy's beef because of what they did to his family, and then
the sub story. The sub story on this is very good, and it weaves into the the way the song goes.
Right. And they some of these have sequels that they made. The book 2 of the Little Drummer Boy and things. I'm not sure.
There's like a modern CGI Rudolph.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I saw a review of it on YouTube, and it just looked awful.
They got Rudolph and Frosty together. That wasn't too bad. Rudolph
and Frosty's Christmas in July. That was 1979.
Christmas in July, right? Oh, he's by this time Frosty's married Crystal. From the previous sequel. This is, I guess, the third in the trilogy of Frosty.
This is the Rankin Bass cinematic universe.
There you
Frosty
go.
saga.
RBCU, yeah.
Yeah, the RBCU. The only other one, the Rankin Bass one that really stands out to me that I saw maybe once was Jack Frost. And it was my only impression. I had to have been very young when I saw it, 8 or 9 years old. And my impression of it was, this is weird. This is kind of an odd thing. It's as I'm reading the description. So narrated by Buddy Hackett. That was the thing about Rankin Bass. They got a lot of big talent for their stuff. That's for sure. They had big names involved. But
and who was Buddy Hackett? Do you remember? It's right there in your.
It's a comedian.
No, I'm talking about who he played. He was the groundhog for Groundhog Day.
Yes.
He was.
Pardon me, Pete.
Oh, that's right.
Pardon me. So he played like another holiday, little known holiday mascot.
Right.
Talking about Jack Frost because he's the one who decided whether Jack Frost was going to hang around. So he was appropriate.
Right. Yeah, as you mentioned it. So it's just, Rankin Bass, they really, I mean, they made a lot of stuff. I mean, like you kind of referred to the Return of the King, the very short Lord of the Rings.
The Last Unicorn was another cool one they did, kind of a 70s thing. And Jack Frost, I think he first appeared in the first Frosty sequel where he was keeping it cold for Frosty, but then they said that's not going to be good, and then he got his own special. I don't know which one came first, but they did the same kind of Jack Frost character in both.
Right.
One was animated, one was claymation. The Jack Frost was a claymation.
Right. Frosty's Winter Wonderland, I think, was the one that came before.
Yeah, where he got Crystal because he's lonely, and
Yep.
she had the icicle hair. It was weird.
Now, does anybody remember Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
No.
This is obscure.
I've heard of it, and I've seen outtakes that are hilarious, but
Right.
I've never seen the movie itself.
So it's Henson. It's the Henson from the Muppets.
Yeah.
And Henson had a bunch, like you mentioned, the John Denver Muppet special and Muppet Family Christmas. There was something like that. But this is early on, 1977, another HBO special from back in. Because Henson and HBO had something going on. I remember Fraggle Rock. That was
they did.
Yeah, that was an HBO thing. But it's Canadian. So it's originally was it premiered on the CBC TV up in Canada, and so it had a real Canadian feel to it, a sensibility to it. And I don't remember much about it, but like you said, Thomas, I just remember it was funny, and it was kind of cool because it was puppetry instead of stop motion animation, and so it was different from the others. I'm just going to give you the story is Emmett Otter and his ma, a widow who scrapes by on the small amount of money she gets from doing laundry, and that Emmett gets from doing odd jobs around the home in the town of Frogtown Hollow. And then they're put down upon, and it's sort of a twist on the Gift of the Magi, I guess, by O. Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And they sacrifice. They each trying to get each other a Christmas gift and sacrifice something that they love to get the other person a gift, and that person is already sacrificing something related to get them a gift that's related to the thing they sacrifice, and that the back and forth. So that's just one that I remembered. As I was trying to think of Muppet ones that were TV specials that I remember, and that's the only one that kind of came to mind.
Yeah, and I think HBO was taking a lot from the Canadian broadcasting at that time, because that's where the Rich Little Christmas Carol came from as well. It was on Canadian television first, and then HBO brought it to America. So HBO was getting a lot of stuff from up north.
Okay.
Another interesting thing about The Little Drummer Boy is it came before all the ones they're really known for. It was 68, whereas Santa Claus is Coming to Town and Rudolph and Frosty the Snowman were like 69, 70. They followed. So they went with that one first. And another one that I really liked that was religious that they did was Nestor the Long-Eared Donkey. Did you ever hear that one?
Oh, that sounds very familiar. Yeah.
That's where he, it's a beautiful story. And basically Nestor, it's super sad beginning because his mother dies in a snowstorm, keeping him warm by covering him up. So you get this gut-wrenching Disney-like mother
Bambi
dying
moment. Yeah,
Bambi kind of moment. But then he ends up being the donkey that Mary rides to Bethlehem. And he uses his ears to cover her up during a sandstorm and everything. So it's like, another Rudolph deformity moment for Nestor. But it's a really great one. And it's not, I haven't seen it in a while. I think it might be accessible like on YouTube or something. Right. But it's a good one.
Brenda Vaccaro was in that. That's the only name that I recognize from the cast list. But interesting. Nestor was Shelley Hines. I don't know that name. So that it's fun talking about some of these things because they kind of come back. I'm like, now that you mention it, I have a memory of that sort of thing. Anything else that anyone wants to mention before we bring things to a close here? And I mentioned my honorable mention that Mike already knows about, but anyone?
we haven't even really touched on how the Grinch stole Christmas.
Oh my gosh!
I was thinking the same thing.
That's right.
If we don't want to be persecuted in the comments, we better talk about the Grinch.
Yes,
True.
I have that on my list of ones to talk about, and I totally missed it. So the Grinch. Now, this is interesting. Let's talk about it. This is a reversal of the feel-good Christmas story. It's because the Grinch is the bad guy, and he's the focus of the events.
Yeah.
So what do you? I mean, what do you have any memories of it? I mean, for me, it was always I kind of rooted for the dog. I always thought the dog was the best part.
The dog was the best.
Yes, I'd agree.
I always remember when the dog goes over the hill and he looks up and he sees the sleigh coming and the Grinch pops his head and a commercial's going to come. Then a commercial comes but now when you watch it on video or DVD, I mean, you just keep going. But it's interesting. He's right up there with Charles Dickens, and you have Scrooge and Grinch is like the two Christmas bad guys that are equal. You can't really say one is more popular than the other. And that's a big Dr. Seuss victory there. They
become nouns, like generic nouns for bad people. You're such a Grinch.
Anti-Christmas people. The Grinch. Even though both of them reformed, they still.
And that was directed by Chuck Jones.
Right, the famous animator who did all of the Warner Brothers cartoons and all that sort of stuff. That's right.
And you had the singer was famous for something else, a mascot that he voiced for a popular cereal. Anyone remember?
You're a
Tony
mean
the
one.
Tiger.
Tony the Tiger
is
the singer. I should know the man's name. I can look it up. But if you from now on, you'll always hear that and go, oh, it's Tony the Tiger singing.
And the narrator was Boris Karloff, right?
Oh,
yes.
Oh, and that was a huge coup to get him. Wow. I mean, between the Tony the Tiger and Boris Karloff, which is just about the only two voices besides Cindy Lou, who was no more than two. There's really no other voices. They get the singing, but they're the only voices you have. And Boris does the Grinch and his own voice.
But they used Boris in a way where what they were trying to do, I think, was give it that Halloween, almost like a Halloweenish, which would then be taken later on with The Nightmare Before Christmas. But this was sort of the beginning of that type of.
Right.
Whether it would, the other one that could have done as good a job if they didn't get Boris Karloff would have been Vincent Price.
That's what I was thinking.
Vincent Price.
That's what.
That's
Boris
the vibe
Karloff was
they were going for.
Yeah, I think Boris predated Vincent as far as
he did.
The classic horror film kind of voice.
So Thurl Ravenscroft was the name of the voice for both Tony the Tiger and who sang "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch."
A comic book name.
I know,
Thurl Ravenscroft.
I mean, it's almost like a villain.
It's like a Batman villain. Yeah. Ravenscroft. It's you again. I knew it.
That's awesome. I mean, he looks, well, if you look at him on Wikipedia, he looks like a villain too. He's got the little tiny mustache and everything. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
He had such a great deep voice. Oh my gosh. You're a cruel one.
Yeah. And still, people are trying to do it over. Some a cappella groups have tried to do that song over. I heard a girl, like a Ariana Grande type, trying to sing it. And I'm like, oh no,
no.
It's got to be,
you got to be what is that? You in bass?
You got to be a
you got to be a deep
to pull
bass
that off.
pull that off. She just went in a different direction and really ruined it. But still, I mean, nobody has or ever will record a better version of.
No, the only one who may have come close would have been Amy Winehouse. And that's a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
She could have come close.
That would be an interesting version.
Yes, it would.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Grinch really, I mean, Dr. Seuss, and in fact, he wrote the music, he wrote the lyrics. He was deeply involved in the creation of that. And it's funny. I mean, it's another one of these stories about, it's interesting how so many of these stories are about people who are a little bit dead inside, a little bit lacking in the Christmas spirit. And by that we mean lacking in love for your fellow man, love for yourself, joy, charity, and how many of these stories get to right to that point of Christmas is about the ultimate gift. And even when they don't mention Jesus Christ,
right,
it's still that's what Christmas is about. I mean, the gift giving on Christmas is about the ultimate gift to us of Jesus Christ from the Father. And I love the fact that so many of these, I mean, if you go on Wikipedia and look at the list of Christmas specials, there's some dumb ones in there, with ridiculous premises, but how many of them are about this very idea of Jesus through Christmas brings hope to the hopeless and brings light to the darkness. And that's what all of these are. I mean, all of these stories that we've talked about are about the light in the darkness. So I just think that's really awesome that and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of celebrate Christmas TV specials, because it's so often that's what we got, from this.
No, it's redemption stories. That's what you're looking for, is these redemption stories, that life isn't as bad, as dark as it seems to be, that there is a light, and that light can change people. So without mentioning his name, they seem to get the gist of the meaning of the whole thing and try to put that in a secular sort of societal context.
Right.
I don't know if Dr. Seuss was Christian, but he stumbled on it often enough. Like
He did.
like, no matter how small, a life is a life, with who is like, like the abortion lesson right there about, unborn babies and stuff like that. But this one, you have him seeing Christmas and all the trimmings and all the noise, and then stripping that away and seeing that no, Christmas isn't about those things. It's very simple. And then he sees it, it came without packages, boxes, or bags, or tags, and all these different things, and perhaps it doesn't come from a store. And then he sees what Christmas really is about, and he brings back all those things that are just fine. They're great to have. But you need to be able to strip them all down and see, what it's really all about. But the beginning where he talks about all the things they get, and the I can't even remember the names, the who's Hiddle Heze, and the
the great
Claudio
big
Snooks.
electro cardio flux.
Flux, yeah, I need one of those. Looks fun. Just all the different things and the roast beast, and they're carving
roast
the roast beast.
Whenever I make roast beef, that is what it is. It is roast beast. It is not roast beef.
Yeah, roast beast. So it's great, and and it's fun watching, just like Christmas Carol, watching how rotten he is throughout the whole thing makes the ending where he turns good just so sweet. It's
so
great
much
to see
better.
the redemption.
Changed by Cindy Lou Who. I want to mention two more things. One is this kind of in a special category because I've never seen it in its entirety. I've only ever seen one scene from it on YouTube, called Mr. Krueger's Christmas, starring Jimmy Stewart in his other Christmas movie. This was a made-for-TV movie that aired on NBC in 1980, made by the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he plays a widowed apartment janitor who lives in a basement flat with his cat George, and on a cold Christmas Eve, he daydreams to escape his lonely life. He muses about being a man of culture and means, an ice dance at Temple Square, a sleigh ride, as well as the conductor of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, and then imagines himself in the stable with Mary, Joseph, and the infant Jesus. And I've seen the scene where he's in that stable and pours out his heart to the baby Jesus. And I've heard it said, and who knows if it's an urban legend or not, that Jimmy Stewart, like he was speaking from the heart, not just from the script. Like that it was an incredibly moving moment for him in doing this. And when you see it, and if you're on Catholic social media at all over the next few weeks, you'll probably will see it somewhere. Someone will share it. It's an incredibly moving performance. And so I needed to mention that one. Have any of you seen this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a friend who's a Latter-day Saint. So she got me to see this maybe about 20 years ago. And it's so different.
Yeah.
But it's number one, it's like no other Christmas special I had seen. And in fact, I'm surprised I didn't bring it up because because it's just a different, it's more of a modern take on the loneliness that happens at this time of year for people.
Right.
And how they go back in their memory and try to remember, what life has been and, what life could have been. So it's very interesting.
It's a good reminder, too, of that there are a lot of people out there who, they seem like old curmudgeons who just want to be left alone. But, that they have hopes and dreams and that they were hopeful people once, just like Christmas Carol tells us, about Ebenezer Scrooge. So I've only ever seen that one scene, so I didn't know whether, what the rest of the movie was like. And of course, my honorable mention, Mike, of course, the Star Wars Holiday Special. Which has its own sort of campy appeal. I don't watch it very often. It's hard to watch sometimes, but there's of course, it's not about Christmas. It's about a made up. I mean, they don't have Christmas. They don't celebrate Christmas in the galaxy far, far away a long, long time ago. But of course, they have a Wookiee holiday called Life Day. I actually have a Life Day shirt, which is has Chewbacca and all his family on it. It's like one of those 80s portraits where they're all facing in different directions, and it's a composite. It's a collage of their heads, photos. Anyway, Lumpy, Lumpy's my spirit animal. But it's funny. It's funny to watch now. It was when you were a 9-year-old who had just seen Star Wars and was blown away by it, and there was only one Star Wars at the time, and you were just craving anything Star Wars at that point. Any new Star Wars was like, yes, because the Empire Strikes Back was still 2 years away, and then you got this on TV. It was horrifying. We tell you, it was like, oh yes, it's Han Solo and Luke and Leia, Chewbacca. What are they doing? Like, and why is Maude there? And why are the stormtroopers so dancing? And oh my gosh!
But it's so cool to see him and hear him. Anyway,
and Art Carney is an Imperial officer. Really
that
weird.
had to be ABC.
Yeah, if it was Maude and
no, that's CBS. Maude was CBS.
I'm trying to see. It doesn't say where it aired. I was looking for it. Now it's you can find it in its entirety on YouTube if you dare. Let me see here.
But that was one of the things about Christmas specials.
It was on CBS, by the way. Yeah, you're right.
Because the stations the big three would compete with each other to see who they would get, the best people to do the Christmas specials. So that was a big thing.
Well, and that's the big thing. One of the reasons these specials came about is you had the regular series throughout the season, but December they would take a break. There'd be this. They would the whole season of 26 episodes would be split in half. There'd be 13 in the fall, 13 in the spring, and you'd have this month or so of December because they figured people were too busy to be watching TV and keeping up with their shows, and then they would do these specials instead and reruns and specials instead. And December would be every night would be a different special on a different one of the three channels because that's all there were. PBS if you count PBS too. But yeah, I mean they were out there. And anyway, I wanted to mention the Star Wars holiday special because that's on brand for me.
Well, that still happens today with Call the Midwife. They have their Christmas special, and thank you, Jesus. They show it in America on Christmas Day, not unlike Downton Abbey, who would not show it on, in America on Christmas Day. And you had to kind of get on a live feed from London to watch it on Christmas night like I did. And then the third season, they blew my mind by killing off Matthew.
Oh my gosh.
Christmas for the Christmas special. Wow. They killed him off.
Spoilers.
I was like, Julian Fellows, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And then my honorable mention for this year, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. They did their final show as a Christmas one. And I'll tell you, I cried. Because
Series finale?
Series finale, but it was all on Christmas.
Okay.
And if you know anything about Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, she has some kind of they have an earthquake while she's having an MRI, and she can hear people's heart songs. It's one of the few shows on television that you wanted to set to music that actually worked.
Okay.
I mean, it made sense, and they didn't just throw songs in like, cop rock.
Right.
Used to do.
Wow. That's a throwback.
There's a throwback. Look that up, kids. But this one tied it up really well, and I cried.
Nice.
It was a really heartfelt ending.
I mean, I suppose we could have talked about the Doctor Who Christmas specials, but we talk about those on Secrets of Doctor Who, so we'll leave that for that. But
I will mention, and I know this is breaking the rules because it is a movie, but you brought up Jimmy Stewart, and he did another little-known Christmas movie called Shop Around the Corner. And it was the You Got Mail was based off. It was like a remake, but it's great. The don't remember his name, but the wizard from Wizard of Oz has a prominent role in the story, and it's just a great little story. It takes place in Hungary, like mid to early 20th century Hungary, and they are in this really neat little shop that just is like a miniature like early Sears or something, with all these little boutique things inside. And he's a salesman there, and this girl that he starts writing to becomes a sales girl, and it's really cute. It's really got a neat story, and it's definitely Christmassy because it's all set. It ends on Christmas with them all, leaving, going home for Christmas. So it's kind of neat.
I think that got mentioned in our Christmas movie special. I will include a link to that episode, by the way, in our show notes. So if you haven't heard our discussion of Christmas movies a few years ago.
Yeah, that's
well,
good.
and that shop around the corner was also the basis for the musical She Loves Me.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Which Sheldon Harnick and I forget the other famous lyricist. And they just did a remake of it with Laura Benetti and Zachary Levi.
Oh wow!
And Jane Kretzkowski on Broadway.
Cool.
So when he said that around a shop on Christmas, I said, "Oh yeah, that's She Loves Me."
Nice. All right, I think that should do it for us for this time. That's been a great discussion with you guys. Thank you so much. I'm feeling the holiday spirit. The Christmas spirit has upon me. I will not be visited by 3 ghosts tonight.
Yay.
So I do want to, before we go, take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of movies and TV shows, including John L., Emily S., Les R., Paul L., and Yvonne R. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the secrets of movies and TV shows and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Folks, I want to first thank the panel. Thank you so much for your contributions. And I want to thank the listeners. This has been a great year for StarQuest. And for me, I've enjoyed so much creating these programs for you. And Christmas comes around, and I feel that all the warmth of humanity in my heart for all of you, as we talked about in this show. So thank you all so much. So we'd love to hear from you, what you think of our discussion of Christmas TV specials. There's one that was your favorite that we missed. You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/secrets or the StarQuest Facebook page, or send an email to secrets@sqpn.com. Until next time, Mike Denz, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of Christmas TV specials.
It was awesome. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Joanne Mercier, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom, and God bless us, everyone.
And thank you also to Thomas Salerno.
Thanks so much, everyone. Had a great time, and Merry Christmas.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the secrets of movies and TV shows on StarQuest, and Merry Christmas, everyone. Hi, everyone. This is Dom Bettinelli, CEO of StarQuest, with a special message as we approach the Christmas season. This past year, the StarQuest Network has continued to expand our mission of exploring the intersection of faith and pop culture through our many entertaining and informative programs. Now we need your generous financial support to reach new audiences with more of the life-changing and uplifting programming we've been creating for more than a decade. That's why it's very important that we hear from you this Advent and Christmas, the time when nonprofits receive most of their support for the year. If you are already a supporter of StarQuest, we thank you and ask you to prayerfully consider increasing your support at this time. If you're not yet a supporter, please become one now. Every gift counts. Could you give $15 or even just $10 per month? Whatever level of support you can offer, please show your support for SQPN this Christmas. And remember that your gifts may be tax deductible. Just go to sqpn.com/give. That's sqpn.com/give. May God bless you this Advent, and may you have a blessed Christmas season.